What are my thoughts on Buckethead? I mean, I grew up on Jimmy Page and Keith Richards and Hendrix and those guys. So unless you had vomit down your shirt and a needle in your ass, you probably weren't to my taste. But when I first heard Buckethead, I thought technically he was great. But the whole shredding and tapping and 1,000 notes per second just wasn't my thing. I honestly thought he was a terrible fit for Guns N' Roses after I left. I mean, I heard the guy didn't even drink, so how can someone who doesn't drink a bottle of Jack Daniels a day join Guns N' Roses? It just didn't make sense to me. And don't even get me started on the KFC bucket thing. Did they replace my top hat with a bucket? Come on, dude. But honestly, as time went on and I reconnected with Axl and got the band back together, I had to learn some of Buckethead's stuff. And that's when I really appreciated his guitar work. He really shines and proves what an outstanding player he is on songs like Madagascar and There Was a Time and so on. I admit I was kind of ignorant back then, and I was wrong to label him as just being technically good. I heard he's a real big horror fan too. That's cool by me. And he was a fan of Michael Jackson, and we obviously done some stuff together. So yeah, in some ways we're very similar. We just took a different path. That being said, I still think I play the outro solo to Night Train better than he ever did. And still I think my solos on Appetite for Destruction are better than his solos on Chinese Democracy. And even though people remember Guitar Hero 3 for his song Soothsayer, I'm the one who's on the front cover, so suck it.
I was talking to Jamie before the show. There's this guitarist I saw on YouTube, and dude, you wouldn't believe this guy. He's playing guitar like it's not even a guitar. It's like it's an extension of his body or something. Jamie, see if you can pull that up. The guy's name is Buckethead. He's crazy. He's doing nunchucks on stage, Bruce Lee sidekicks to a mannequin. He's talking through a hand puppet. It's totally wild. Look at that. It's entirely possible that it's an alien from another dimension under that mask. To me, he's more alien than an actual alien, man. And listen, I don't know the guy personally, so I don't want to accuse him of anything, but it's entirely possible that he's either using psychedelic drugs or some kind of psychedelic breathing. And it's highly likely he has a hyperbaric chamber at home like the one I have here at the studio. How else do you explain what he's doing? Look how fast he is. It's crazy. The idea that things only exist in this realm is clearly a flawed idea when you see someone like Buckethead shredding on a guitar. And why doesn't he show his face? He's clearly hiding something. Listen, man, I've done DMT trips multiple times, and I've shot up more growth hormone than anybody, and I can't do anywhere near what he does. Nobody can. It's freaky. He's like the John Jones of guitar. He's the GOAT. He has to be. And dude, what is wrong with his fingers in that weird vein on his right hand? I'm telling you. That ain't a regular human being. I got Jordan Peterson coming on tomorrow, and he's way smarter than I am. I'm just a gorilla. But hopefully he can explain to me what's going on with this guy called Buckethead, because he's clearly tapped into something that humans have yet to discover. Sure, it's possible that he's had some kind of stem cell therapy on his elbows and shoulders just to be able to play the guitar that quick. But even then, that's other dimension type stuff going on. And here's the craziest thing of all. I said to Jamie, we got to get Buckethead on the show, but there's literally no way to contact him. He doesn't talk. His family and friends can't contact him. He has this website called Buckethead Pikes, and Jamie sent them an email, but they didn't reply. He's a ghost, dude. He's a ghost.
When I was traveling up and down the road back in the day, going from town to town, a lot of people would ask, man, how do you do it? How do you stay motivated and fired up every night? And I'd say, man, when I wanted to feel that buzz, when I needed to turn that son of a bitch up to 11 and give those fans everything I had, right before going through that curtain, I'd pull out an album called The Day of the Robot by a guitarist called Buckethead. The first track on that album is called Destroyer, and man, does that motherfucker hit hard. I'd stick that son of a bitch in my ears and play it as loud as it'd go. And man, did that get me fired up. Those heavy-ass riffs gave me the motivation to go out there and stomp a mud hole in somebody. Whether it was Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, or The Undertaker, it didn't matter. As long as I had Buckethead to listen to right before showtime, a 12-pack of beer, a bottle of Jack Daniels, and 2 knee braces on, I was good to go. But yeah, the motivation and fire that I needed to be the baddest son of a bitch on the planet came from listening to Buckethead and his badass song Destroyer from the Day of the Robot album. And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
When I was in Led Zeppelin, it was all about being entertaining and putting on a show for the fans. Whether it was the flashy outfits or playing guitar with a bow or doing 15-minute guitar solos, it was all about the spectacle and making sure the fans went home happy. And of all the guitarists that I see today, the one person who really gets it and really understands what it means to put on a spectacle is Buckethead. I find Buckethead thoroughly entertaining and really fascinating. He does some really amazing and innovative things with the guitar. And he's not just going through the motions when he plays. He's really having fun and letting loose and leaving it all out there. And that was always the spirit of Led Zeppelin, to leave it all out there and put on a show. I really like his song called Spooner Arcs. It reminds me a lot of the Immigrant song. I'm pretty sure Buckethead was paying a tribute to Led Zeppelin with that one, so I'm really grateful for that.
A lot of people keep asking me about my time spent with Buckethead. I first became aware of Bucket in 1999 when I saw him on the Ozfest tour. I thought he had a great look, was an amazing player, and I knew straight away that I wanted him in Guns N' Roses. I invited him to my house on Christmas Day, and he of course turned up dressed as Michael Myers from Halloween. I gave him a Leatherface action figure, and he seemed genuinely touched that I got him that gift. Apparently it was a hard figure to get hold of. Not long after he joined the band, and for a while it was awesome. We went to Disneyland a bunch of times. I don't think I've met anyone who was that obsessed with Disney. It was crazy. As a guitarist, he was mind-blowing. Within 2 days, he had learned the entire Guns N' Roses catalog, and within 2 months of him joining, the guitar work for Chinese Democracy was pretty much finished. He was a creative genius. And yeah, I know it took me another 8 years to release that album, but I was busy, you know? Whilst the rest of the band were in the studio, I was in a Brazilian favela. It is what it is. But we did get the chance to do a bunch of shows, which were mostly great. Obviously not the VMA award show. My vocals were kind of off that night, but I blame the band for that one. And yeah, there was a riot here and there, and the fans nearly killed the band in Philadelphia when I didn't show up, but that's rock and roll. I still love Buckethead. And he's done amazing things since I'd still share a Dr. Pepper with the guy, even though he prefers Diet Coke. And I'd still have one last visit to the Haunted Mansion with him. And just for the record, don't believe anything Tom Zutaut ever said about Bucket. That guy's a piece of shit.
Oh, I love Buckethead. He's great. He's like an 80s horror movie monster. He does some really neat things on the guitar. And I really like all the different effects he uses, especially the way he uses the wah pedal. I don't think anybody has used it that effectively since Hendrix. I don't use the wah pedal myself that much because it doesn't really match Metallica's raw metal sound, but I like Buckethead's use of it. I heard he's a fan of the ocean and horror movies too, so hopefully we can hang out one day and watch some vintage horror movies and go surfing. Enter Sandman? Nah, enter Buckethead.